content must be very specific and limited. The curriculum must be thorough and in-depth. There must be uniformity and authority. There must be no connectivity, subject matter isolated, giving rise to different subjects. And in the British model, this was very unique because in order to differentiate between the guy in the office and the supervisor and the manager, there must be some very small differentiation, and the information must be isolated. Because if one guy knows everything, then there will be problems. There must be levels of competency for promotion and discrimination. Graduates must be loyal, obedient, civil, and knowledgeable of the civic duties. This knowledge was to give the students a sense of empowerment in an administrative role. In the American model, multiple disciplines and experiences, time-governed curriculum, no emphasis on that, self-exploratory and self-learning, limited authority and uniformity, greater connectivity, integrated learning, fewer subjects taught, skill-oriented education. Minimum standard of competency requires separation of church and state. In other words, this is one of the basic things in this education thing. They say church got to be separated from the education. And defiant. This is an important thing in the American education system because they allow people to become rebellious. And if you look at the American society, you will see that is part of the nature, that they must revolt. And we are told after they do all this thing, that the squeaky wheel get the grease, because they want the grease. Defiant, non-conforming, revolutionary, and independent thinkers. Elements of the Vedic model. Teacher's facilitation. The guru is a very important person in that system. Independent thinkers, and this is very important. The Vedic model does not make you a slave. It makes you an independent thinker. Discipline of body and mind. Sense of purpose. In other words, your life must have a purpose before you begin to orient your actions towards that purpose. You must have a universal perspective. Global connectivity. Intuitive learning. Memory and recall. Practical application. This is what the Vedic model is. Now, elements of the soft model. First, we have the preparation of the student to learn. We must prepare the student to learn. If a student is not learning by there, the teacher is at fault. And I want all the teachers to take that responsibility. Don't say the child is terrible, or he is, he has got a bad head, he's stupid. All those are foolish words. Because, to be honest with you, the computer is the most dumb machine. And we cannot tell the computer you're stupid when we are programming it. The deficiency is in us, not in the computer. The deficiency is in the teacher, not in the student. Design of the classroom. The classroom must be colorful, must be beautiful, information everywhere. In which, you see, the brain does not always concentrate on one thing for long. 15 minutes. You begin to shift. Your interest begins to fade. And what we are doing here is that while they are having this, we distract them, but in a positive way. Role of the teacher, presentation of subject matter and information, assessment. And if you notice here, I talked about a thing called constructive distraction. Any teacher who expects a child to sit in class without moving up and becoming a little naughty, you should be disappointed. That is the natural behavior of a child. And you have to be able to learn how to deal with it in a classroom. If any one of you expect a child to sit for 1 hour in a classroom, very nice and wonderful, I'm here to tell you, that is not a learning child. All children who are ADHD, which is labeled in the United States, you know, they are hyperactive disorder, they are normal children. The only thing is that the teachers have not known how to keep and stir their interest in the activities that they have in the class. Whenever you are presenting your information, and I think this must be good for the teachers in the school, all information, whether it be mathematics, geography, history, or whatever, science, first you must tell it as a story. Put it in a story format. Then, make it emotionally powered, drama packed, let them act it out. With different connectors, different pathways. And this is another thing I have noticed. Teachers, when the student asks a question, they repeat the same thing again. And then ask the student, have you understood? Then when the student says no, they say the same thing again, in the same way. And they ask the student, have you understood? And they say no. What you have to do, every time a child asks a question, you have to figure out a different way of putting that information out. Change the methodology. And when you can do so, you'll find some students are more left-brain learners, some are more right-brain learners, some are more full-brain learners. By changing your methodology and your scheme, you will be able to get to them all. And I would like to say here, from the whole to the part and then part and the whole, global to local. This model is the only model that asks you to look at the whole picture before you begin to even look at the parts. And if you do not look at the whole picture, your parts will not be able to fit. And I will conclude by saying that girls learn differently than boys. It is I wouldn't say a gender thing, it is a social thing. You know, we give the boys stars and we give the girls dollies. God knows what we want our girls to do. Okay? But what happens is that the girls are more whole brain or right brain, the boys are more left brain. And this is why if a woman gets a stroke, she is able to recover her speech in a couple of days. If a man gets a stroke, he may never be able to recover his speech. And the reason for that is because women, because they're multitasking, they place information at random in both hemispheres of the brain. So if one becomes destroyed or handicapped, the next one takes over. Unlike men, they like to be macho. But I want the men to know that God has given you 2 billion more neurons than the women, but you can't be better than them. Thank you very much.
जो हवा यहाँ पे चल रही है, ये हवा जो है दूसरे दूरी पर उसकी हवा की रफ्तार दूसरी होती है, दिशा दूसरी होती है, तो उसको यहाँ होता है, इससे वो उधर ऊपर चल के और हवा के सहारे जाती है। तितली भी इसी तरह से जाती है। ऐसा कनाडा में 2 जगह रिसर्च हो चुका है। तो इनका कहना है कि हमारे मस्तिष्क में भी इस तरह शिक्षक जो है वो सिर्फ नौकरी नहीं करता, वो तो नौकरी तो ये पैसा मिलता है सिर्फ काम करने के लिए, लेकिन उसका अगर और ज़्यादा रुचि नहीं है